Okay, well, thank you. First, let me take you 20 years into the past to the moment where I started my journey with AI. It was the year 2005 in Bariloche, Argentina, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, outside of Italy, of course. And I was just walking into a class called Neural Networks. I sat there in my seat, the professor came in, and he said this phrase: artificial intelligence is software that learns from examples. I remember being shocked at that moment due to the idea of a system that can be put together without explicit instructions. For me, that was revolutionary. And for me, and for many people, of course. I devoted more than 15 years of working in AI in companies, but after some time, I started reflecting about that concept, and I went back to the first part of that sentence. This is software. And that concept, the idea that this is a new type of software, is the insight that led me in late 2021 start a company focused on allowing companies start taking advantage of this new type of software, because this is not improving software, this is reinventing how software works. The name that we can give to this nowadays is AI agents. And for this, I want to explain in very, very fast, in very simple terms, what AI agents are. The first thing that we already knew that November 22 was the moment that it came to the world were chatbots. I mean, we had chatbots before, but they were not very smart. The first smart chatbot was ChatGPT. And what is a chatbot? It's a system that receives a question and provide an answer. It's very simple. Everybody knows how to do that. And this is a very special, ChatGPT, Claude, all the similar, right? They are special because they have a lot of information in their neural networks. Basically, they were trained with all the knowledge of humankind. So they're smart. But all they can do is give chats and answers. Then came the reasoners. The reasoners, I mean, in a non-technical way, is like a group of chatbots that can talk among each other before providing the final question. And they are very important and very useful because basically they mimic how we think, like talking inside our own brain. So they can do this thing called chain of thought that, and you can see it now in the tools, there's thinking or expressing what they are thinking, so they can move up and start handling much more complex questions or much complex analysis. So they are very useful. And then we have agents. That basically is all of the previous ones, but with the possibility to use tools. And digital tools are digital, but they interact with the real world, so they can impact on the real world. And they work with objectives. That's why they are called agents, because they have agency. They can, going through that chain of thought process, think what is the best way to solve the problem that you are providing, and act on the world. So how do they act to the world? Basically, there's something called APIs, that is how software communicates with each other. So if they have access to an API, they can use it. So a very simple one, if you give them the Gmail API, they can now send emails and then interact with us. If there's a machine that has an API and is live online, then you can give the API of that machine and they can operate a machine. And they can do whatever. I mean, once they have that possibility of using tools, they can scale and do very complex stuff. I won't go into the following two, but that would be a different talk. But, and there's always a but, something that Fernando mentioned yesterday, MIT just presented a report saying that 95% of generative AI projects have returned zero value. And I know this is probably not the best way to evaluate this, but this is just a figure to show that there's something missing here. I mean, we have this powerful technology, but somehow the first iteration of this is not going well. It's not giving the promised results. And I think there's an important concept to understand why. I mean, the report is very good. I recommend everybody interested in this should read it. it takes a lot of, explains a lot of things, but there's particularly one thing that I don't think was addressed enough, and this is what I want to address, is that large language models and image generative AI tools are very good at working with unstructured data. What is unstructured data I'm covering? It's text, it's images, it's audio, and actually, if you see the companies that pitched before were on this space. This is where the logic first step goes when you want to use these tools, because they have been trained on this type of data. But companies are on the other side. Companies have all their data, or most of their data, in the structured way. They have databases with a structure, you know, like spreadsheets, but very long spreadsheets. They have headers, and they have numbers and text below. That has structure. And these models have not been trained on structured data. So they are not good to interact. I mean, they struggle to interact with this type of data. Of course, you can put one Excel spreadsheet and upload it on ChatGPT. It will work well, because it's just one. That's not how real companies work. Real companies have millions and millions of gigabytes and terabytes of data, and these tools won't work well with that. So this is a very important bottleneck in the adoption of AI agents, because I mean, you have a very intelligent agent or structure that can do whatever you want, but they cannot access your data, so they are kind of useless. And I think that is one of the main reasons why we are seeing these low levels of success on projects in companies. And also, I worked for more than 10 years in something that is called data engineering, which is basically this problem, and it's a very hard problem. Actually, the figure says 3 out of 4 companies in the world have not solved this problem. Data engineering, I hate that concept, but I work on that, but it's hard to explain because it sounds very easy, but companies struggle. And I think the best way to show this to this audience is when an executive sees something on a meeting or hears something and asks for an analysis or a projection, the team responsible to do that says, okay, we will come back after a week with that analysis of what that numbers. And everybody thinks, why a week? I mean, we have the data. It should be easy. Data is not easy. And the reality is 3 out of 4 companies haven't solved. You know who are the 26% that did it? Companies that have built their business models around data. Of course, they solved that. How would Google work if they don't know what we do and what we like? So the rest of the companies continue to struggle with this. And this is stopping the adoption. So in just one sentence, the algorithms are not the problem. GPT-5, Claude 3.7, 4, I mean, it continues to grow. But the bottleneck is on the data, organizing that information and making it available. So we came up with one solution. I don't think it's the only one. Probably there's going to be alternatives. I mean, the human alternatives is always there. It's not that efficient. So basically what we created is this. Teramot is an ecosystem of more than 50 agents working together to solve this problem. And one thing I didn't mention about agents, and it was the one thing I didn't want to forget, but I forgot. Agents, the way in which we all conceive it, or as what's presented to us, is a conversational tool. We imagine an agent conversing and talking with humans and whatever. The real value for agents, for me, is like imagine a CIA agent, like a spy. What is their best quality? That you don't know they are there. The good agents, for me, are the ones that you don't see, the ones that cover software, that handle software on the background, almost invisible, but they are doing their work, their job. And I say that because in Teramot we have around 50 agents, and you can only talk with 2 of them. The other 48 only work among each other. And that is a tool that basically takes care of the data engineering processes by connecting to the origins of information, receiving requests of what you are going to do with that information, and streamlining that data pipeline in something that takes around 10 minutes compared to the typical weeks or months that humans take. So this is not only fast, it's cheaper. And once you solve that data problem, now you can go and step into the new paradigm of software, which is this agent-based software. We see that the companies that start to use this start creating alternatives to the SaaS tool they will need to buy or to the custom software project that they will need to obtain with the software factory, basically because they can put together these pipelines that are connected to our data, and they can build that last mile agents to perform the tasks that they want, and using a lot of the new tools that are available. And why do I think this is a revolution? I would cite one of our professors. I know if many other cohorts had Reo, but we have him. And he taught something regarding how to push and how to get transformation, cultural transformation and digital transformations on organizations, and it has to do with friction. There's a book, I recommend the book also. It's called the Friction Project. And basically what it says is, if in an organization you want to have something, you want to make a transformation, if you want to change something, you need to lower the friction for the people in the organization to go into that place. And you need to rise the friction towards you don't want them to go. And why do I think this is a revolution? Because once we give our companies, our employees, the possibility to automate processes 10 times, 5 times faster, 10 times, 5 times cheaper, that is a massive reduction of friction. And that is how revolutions look like. When you bring something to the table that reduces time and cost and allows people to go where they want to go and where their leaders are telling them to go. You don't only need to tell it, you need to pave the way and reduce the friction in that way for them to adopt the new technologies that are based on the agents. So, word of caution. This is not like sprinkling AI magic dust in your organization, and now we are an organization, we have AI, everything is perfect. My vision and what we are seeing is this is, like it says here, a patchwork of initiative by initiative that needs to be understood, it needs to be implemented, but it could be done at a much, much faster rate. So you can parallelize improvement. You can start tackling many agent-based solutions or agent-based software in your organization at the same time, because the cost allows it and the time to iterate and to try and fail and try and get the result gets shortened a lot. And basically, I'm going to leave now to Cristian to tell how they do this exact same thing in Acceleron.
Thank you. Well,
thank you.
I will try to give you my experience. I mean, I don't have anything to sell except if you want to buy a lovely turbocharger to put in your house, which I'm joking about. So that's the company to bring you just simply in a traditional manufacturing company. There are many. We have, of course, a lot of solutions. But we want to also take in consideration what's happening to the AI and the data and the legacy. We heard that basically traditional company, we have a company we run 100 years. We have a lot of data from a production, from customer, from R&D that is not really structured because we have a legacy of 100 years. How many SAP before that? So how are we going to do that? We also have 4 areas of business. I'm responsible for that one, but I'm also supporting the rest of the organization in the transformation. So while we design basically in a few steps, because we try to take it step by step, and we're a traditional, no-risk company. We are a spin-off of ABB. Probably most of you, they know the ABB. So traditionally, it's not really a risk-taking company. So the first part, we want to explore. So it means you have some risk, but limited. You want to have layer foundation, starting to really understanding what are we going to do with the data? How are we going to structure the data? Then, of course, we have to start to grow and making sure that when you have the data, someone was starting to use the data, structure it, and use it. And then you want to start to make sure that the people and everybody in the organization are adoption. I know that for a different business, I work for eBay, that's kind of like a joke. I mean, this is like a 0 step. But in an industrial company with many, many years, those steps needs to be done carefully. Then we basically we have to decide what is our role, or how much we want to disrupt the company. So while we want to leverage, but we want to transform, we want to make sure that we take the people with us. And we basically split it. We started in 2024 with experimentation. So take some data science, small problems, small activities, try to get an impact and a solution. Or at least to try, you can fail, which is already for industrial company, not the most obvious solution that you can fail, because that's not acceptable, particularly if you're in Switzerland. Fail is not an option. It's important to have that mindset. And then you start to learn, you start to adopt more and more. We are in this phase. And of course, we look into the next year, budget, resource, scalability, what to do. And it's a 3-year journey, but for industrial company, this is just a heartbeat. We normally have to go further than that. And when we said before, you bring in all this technology, you try, you taste, you fail, is that possible in the business? And then you're starting to discuss with the problem of the culture. When you start to iterate faster, and fast meaning something like, I can prepare some calculation in 3 weeks. So for a production of a turbocharger that takes 6 years of R&D development, you are discussing something happens in 3 weeks. It's like not possible. So the culture of the people, the culture of the company is really, really important. Assets we have to bring with us. And basically we start, the first question is, okay, what is the impact? What is the impact of the people? Because that's an important part. We need to have the people with us in this journey. And the first part, of course, if you are the CFO, they immediately see the effect of the productivity. So we need to bring in the people in the business. We need to redesign career, and that's where I will focus. We need to design the careers, the new job. We heard this morning, few jobs goes away, other job will come up, and how are we going to manage? Because we will not change. So what we've done, and I don't pretend to be teaching anything to anybody, guys. I'm just sharing what I've done it, and I don't even pretend that it's the right one, because probably I will learn as well if this is the right one or not. What I've done, I took in my organization, and I split the organization in this matrix. On this part, potential and complementary, how much AI can help a human, so much I can optimize, and how much the AI can do the task in a job. I don't even know if that is the right one, but it's a criteria. And with that criteria, I went through basically all the job, and starting to try to fill it. And to have a discussion, okay, job by job, what are we going to do? Where is going to be? And what we get it as a glimpse is a matrix like this one. And we start to really see, okay, where are the jobs that I need to rewrite the job description? What is the job that I need to hire? What are the jobs that once someone is coming, I make it a fake hiring freeze, because I'm challenging before bringing someone that I don't want to fire in 2 years from now. Which job is this guy going to do now? How the job will evolve in 3 years from now? And that is a challenging exercise that I have to go through the organization. And I see personally 2 ways that what we see at this industrial company. Today, this is the easy way, because you try to do the same things in the most efficient way. Doesn't really change anything. You go fast, and then you have the reaction. I was explaining today at lunchtime. I introduced some solution. At the beginning, everybody get excited, organization. Oh, you can really do this task. Instead of copying, you can do that with AI, and they will do the picture, and we'll do immediately uploading everything. Everything's working. The full engagement of the employee. Until he realized 3 weeks after that MVP was working. And then he came back and basically started to argue that was not precise, was not working. So how is that possible? It's working. And I have the data science, data engineering is perfectly working. The guy realized in a simple words that if that part away, what is going to do all day? What his job? how the job is going to change. And the transformation, not everybody wants to continue to transform his job regularly. It's a big, big impact, guys. That's what I experience. And the second part is simply how we want to leverage the technology and the possibility of AI, not only for making an efficient organization, but to reorganize the organization, to reorganize the way of working, to really have the capability of the AI, the new technology, land inside the organization and make it something really disrupting. Industrial company, that part had not been picked up. So, just to conclude, AI needs people, I think so, but the people need AI, and an industrial company, they need both. So with that one, I want to thank you. Sorry, someone. I want to leave it for open question because I believe, let me get some corporate video, some corporate moment for the picture. That's my boss will love it, and because also sponsor it. I'm open for question because, as I said, I don't pretend that this is the right one. I'm just try and probably fail and learn if this is the right way for industrial company. And we will try to collaborate to make this happen. And I hope that is open for question, guys, that you have it.
Questions or sharings, maybe. Maybe somebody wants to share the way that they do it differently from Bruno and Cristian. Hands up.
No? Are you shocked?
I do have a question, though, to Cristian. You said something very interesting, which is kind of like, it's the power of how do we implement that it affects people. We shared a little bit last night in our table about the impact of what agents also will have on entry-level jobs. And also this morning, a little bit with Guido about it. What do you guys think that anybody implementing AI needs to do in this entry-level job space and how to fix it? Or there's no hope? Just the entry-level jobs will disappear?
At the moment, I think that AI is particularly in the technical complex area where there is not enough data. Because even if a company is alive, at least talking about ABB turbocharging our Acceleron, even around for hundreds of years, and the segments, the number that we're talking about, you cannot train the model so much. And the model has to be precise, because if you have a wrong technical number on the turbocharging, we will have a problem in the production, we'll have a problem, so you cannot really afford to have that. So the AI, it will take a long time. They need to have the knowledge of the people in order to really make it work. And the challenge that I see, as I said before, is not everybody are willing to give that away, even if it's a convenience.
Yeah, well, I agree that there are different industries and different type of shops. Going to the most, what everybody's just talking, that entry-level shops are on risk. I think there are certainly some type of jobs on certain type of industry that might see a reduction on the need of hiring this kind of entry level. On the other side, what we are seeing, and particularly in software and AI research, is that young people coming out of university right away can compete almost with anybody, because this is a type of technology is very new. So it's not like you can have somebody with 15 years of experience developing AI agents, because there was no technology to do that back then. So I think it's kind of a complex situation. I think in the net result, there's going to be some disruption there. We're still living through the first step, so it's also hard to estimate the size of that. But I think there's going to be some impact.
Thanks, Beatrice here, SP 2018. Thanks especially also for highlighting this, these slower manufacturing industries and so on. These are my customers as well, and I can very well relate to that. One question that heavily gets discussed with our customers in that space is, with AI taking over some part of that entry-level jobs. You need, however, that expertise for still reviewing it. How will people get that expertise if they are not working so much anymore in the entry-level jobs? How do you view that? I'm really curious to hear that.
I don't know.
Nobody knows. No one knows.
Honestly, I don't know. I see the problem. I see absolutely the problem, because today the one that they have an experience, they are training the model, but the one that coming after, they are not been doing the basic job. So the one that was boring when we were young, that maybe you didn't really like it, but there was some learnings in that, even if you learn what you don't like it, but there was something in there. And without the knowledge, I don't know, there will be the critical mindset that this morning we were talking about. Maybe it will not be missed, will be missing, maybe not, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I see the problem, I don't have the solution. But I agree. I don't have it.
Yeah, I mean,
if you guys have it, please bring it up.
I don't have the answer to that. I mean, it's something that everybody is starting to get worried about. Particularly, I have some knowledge on Argentina and Latin America in manufacturing, and there was a problem already that young people didn't like those type of jobs, so they were going into tech instead of going into like steel. So they are kind of already living that problem. Perhaps the agents will make part of that, will have part of that expertise. I mean, what I would do, I would start trying to get all the people that have the knowledge right now, write it down somewhere, to leave it in text, so then you might have it on a digital agent to assess. I mean, I'm not sure if that will work, but at least I would try to make sure to have everything written down, because that will probably feed an agent in the future.
Hey guys, if I can intervene, I don't think that we should let AI happen to us. Let's have more courage. I was talking yesterday about that. Of course we can fight against the talent mode. Hire juniors, give them tools, teach them. If you want, I can do more philosophically. We need a new social contract. But AI is not something external to us, it's our creation. So if you remember the ones that were in the talk yesterday I gave, it's a success case. You give junior programmers, pilots, teach them how to use that, and that organization has new blood. And I'm sure in industrial environments is the same. Of course, you need to learn special crafts, but these tools are fantastic. So let's not be hopeless, let's not be passive. Of course, this is a big change. It's being reported that entry-level jobs are being lost, but just one more idea. Leaders are there for something, just to, not to take the paycheck, okay? So more courage, and I think AI can be used for good too.
Hey, I'm Vytautas from 2024. From the banking industry. So we're also making first steps in the AI environment. Probably my question would be to Bruno, since it was triggered by your concepts of agents working together behind the scenes. In the banking, I would say, still very critical to prove for the regulator the traceability of the decisions, how you make it. For instance, calculating probabilities of default and etc. And I think we're still doing a bit on the kind of ancient models which were functioning for the decades, and the usage of AI is very limited in that field. How do you see the ability to either to deal with the regulators to prove that AI could give some benefits, even having some uncertainties in the models, how they work, or there is a ways how to improve the traceability of decision-making based on the solutions based on AI? Thanks.
That's a great question and a great doubt that is always in this type of technology. But to give you one example and then the general answer. In our solution, we have like those 50 agents. In the end, they are writing code and sending things among each other with a very limited scope to what they can do. So, for instance, one agent, all it can do is try to make sure that if you bring different data sources, all the date columns have the same format. So instead of being month, day, year, they should be day, month, year. So it's very specific, very limited task, and they perform it very well with no hallucination, because it's very small what they do. So going to the general question, I mean, it's not that agents would take in all the information. I mean, you can try that. I wouldn't get all the information and say who should I give the loan to. I mean, I wouldn't see it that way. What I would see is use agents to digest faster the information and write the predictive models faster and provide the explicability in those models. So, I mean, if you have a model with weights, you can then show the weights. I will use it, that is the agent-based software that we envision, is ones that creates the solution without having to resort to a black box scenario. Sometimes it would be a black box, but that is also happening today. There are some models that have no explainability. I mean, there's a lot of machine learning models that you cannot go and see which are the weights that impacted. So I think that the general sense that they operate as black box, when you go into an ecosystem of agents, you can completely go back to the way in which we are used to, like writing software and having all that logs and everything there. It would depend how you build it, but you have that possibility.
Are we set with the time?
Hi. Thanks for a great presentation. Bruno, I have a question. You said the challenge that you're seeing with AI is, or the agents, is not so much with unstructured data, but with structured data. But if you're using a good ERP system, I work for a conglomerate. We have 25 different companies. I'm CFO there. And if you are working with a good ERP system, would you really have these challenges in terms of still AI being able to harness that information? I mean, from me, one of the uses for me is rather than have my analysts look at the numbers of the companies and telling me where the problems are, I could probably have agents scrutinize the ERP and just, they can dig out, okay, these are the problems, maybe market share is down, or this particular product's not doing well, margins here are falling, etc. But so in your practical terms, where are the kind of data problems you've seen?
What you are describing is the data engineering problem. I mean, it seems easy. When you try to implement it, you find out that there are a lot of micro problems that you need to sort out before you can go into the business analysis. And as I said, it looks invisible, but it's there. Let me give you a couple of examples. The date that I mentioned. One problem that if anybody has worked with data here knows is that if you put together different tables, the format of the date columns are different. You need to solve that. Then you have duplicated data, perhaps. And it's not a technological problem. It's how it's used in the end, the ERP, for instance. And you can have outliers. Somebody made a mistake when inputting a value. It will ruin your analysis. You need to check for all those. And that is only data cleaning. Then you need to put together the business, you need to bring the concepts that you want to analyze into formulas. Because you might say, I want to analyze my margins. You need to define exactly what is margin. How do you calculate that? And somebody needs to go and make that. And then you will start saying, okay, but now I want to understand my margin by region. Okay, I didn't bring the region. I just bring everything. Go back, create a new data warehouse. Now filter, bring the region. Okay, now I see it by region. I want to see it by type of customers. We didn't bring that data from the ERP. We need to go back. The data engineering is an iterative problem. And agents, direct LLMs cannot handle that. They are not devised for that. They are not trained on that type of situation. So you need to handle that beforehand. Of course, if you only have one table that somebody already data engineered, that would work. But since it's something that changed in time, and you will need to see something different every single day, then you'll probably find that mistake. And I know I suffered in my own flesh and blood when I was in an oil company, and I was the BI manager. So every single day, my team did 92 reports. Somehow, every single day, we need to put something together new. And at the moment, I didn't understand why. But then I understood. The business is complex. They need to see different things. And you don't know what you want to see until you see the first iteration of that. So, it's a complex problem. It's a complex. I would say it wouldn't be that easy, just with ChatGPT connected.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Didn't you realize that it is a really challenging topic and very interesting and top-notch? So we're here. They will help us not struggle so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria.